Hello, my name is Yvette. I work for the Town of Braselton. I've been here a little over 15 years. My job title is Environmental Specialist, and I'm also the Erosion Control Inspector. The majority of my job involves a lot of field work where I get out and do inspections, looking at plans, and then going out in the field to make sure they're following the plans. I also do state waters determinations, some Rivers Alive events, adopt a stream monitoring on a monthly basis, deal with homeowner complaints, do a little more outreach and education when as needed, some library programs. But mainly I do a lot of field work, dealing with contractors and the engineers up front. So every day is a little different. Sometimes it gets a little crazy, and sometimes it gets a little frustrating when you do see violations occur, and then you have to address those violations with the contractors on site. But overall, it's a pretty good job.
A big part of my job deals with erosion control plans. This is my plan room. These are some ongoing projects or projects that are in the works. And the reason these have to have plans is kind of basically they're guidelines in place and the rules that they have to follow. So part of my job, a big part of my job, is to make sure that they have plans that are approved and that they actually follow the plans as far as the laws are concerned for erosion control. And this is all based on Clean Water Act and the reasons that we want to keep our streams clean, keep that sediment out of them. So there's lots of moving parts with this job, a lot of paperwork, unfortunately, but that's how we track things.
So once a set of plans has been approved and they have all the appropriate permits if needed through the Corps of Engineers or the EPD for buffer variances, it's my job to go out in the field and make sure that they're following the plans and they don't have any violations. Some of the common things we see on an erosion control violation are basically just silt or mud running off the property onto the road, going down the storm drains, and ultimately ending up in streams. And bottom line for my job is to prevent the sediment from getting into our streams. So you can see with just a few blowouts or silt fences that overload the sediment that ends up getting into the streams. And imagine over time, just a few of these episodes, how much silt ends up in the bottom of our streams. And this is detrimental to so many of the species that live in the creeks. So oftentimes when the mud gets in the road, it ends up going down these storm drains, and that's what these black bags are intended to protect the storm lines from trash or mud or other things going down the drain, because ultimately a lot of these storm drain outfalls go directly to a stream, and that's where a big source of the sediment and trash can come from.
So this is the Mulberry River that runs through a portion of Braselton. You can see it's quite turbid right now, or muddy. We had some heavy rains the last few days, and this is one of the things that happens after a heavy rain. There's a lot of stream bank erosion. You can see where the trees have fallen in, and the buffer is thinned this side. It's a pretty healthy buffer. That's another part of my job, just looking at buffers and streams and trying to protect the rivers and tributaries that come to this watershed.
This is the section of the Mulberry River where I do my adopt-a-stream sampling on a monthly basis. Over the years I've worked for Braselton, I've seen the degradation of the banks over time. We've got a lot more development moving into the area, which is increased impervious, and all that contributes to increased flows and bank erosion and pollution to the watershed. Oftentimes I'm contacted by homeowners in the community asking questions about streams on their property, so I'll go out and do a state waters determination. They might have buffers that they're concerned about, or bank erosion, those sorts of things. I do the same thing with developers as well at the beginning of a project to assure that the plans actually depict the streams and the wetlands that are on the property they're getting ready to develop. So the ultimate goal here with good erosion control and smart development is to keep these streams clean and pristine, healthy streams. And a good way to assess a healthy stream is doing something as simple as flipping a rock and just seeing what's under there. You'd be amazed at the things that live in a creek. A good diversity of species is a good indicator of a healthy stream. This is a hellgrammite. But yeah, clean water, that's the goal. So the best part of my job, of course, is being outside, except in the summer. I may not be able to stop the growth in the area, but I try my best to protect the watershed, and I do that by holding developers and builders accountable for their actions. In other words, I try to make sure that they're implementing their erosion control plan and doing the right thing to protect these natural areas, these buffers and streams, so that future generations will be able to enjoy them.